Hey, welcome to Fishbowl Roulette. We are here with my friend Jason Wray. And for those of you who don't know, Fishbowl Roulette is real talk, raw emotions, what's happening in the present. It's funny, not a lot of editing. It's just real people talking real things. And so how it works, he's going to draw topics and we're going to talk about it. But first, I'm going to introduce him. So Jason Wray is my friend. I honestly think I started this podcast just to be able to have my friends on and we could record our conversations. But he is also the founder and CEO of a marketing company, Creative Edge. He is an author. He has started a movement as a mental health advocate called, I'm going to get it wrong.
The Keep Going Project.
Keep Going. I just was going to say keep going. And I was like, keep on going. I knew that wasn't right. Yeah. Again, this is raw.
Sure.
Husband, son, dad, friend to many, and pretty involved in our community.
Yeah.
So anything else you'd like to add to that intro?
Intros and titles really are not my thing, but that was very nice. And I think this is amazing what you're doing. When you first came to me and you were like, "Hey, I've got this crazy idea. Tell me it's not crazy."
Which
and,
you would.
And as a no,
obviously I know my audience because you'd be like, "Yeah, that's fine. Just we'll jump off of a bridge with barely a parachute. Yeah. That'll be fine."
No, but as a marketing minded guy, and we've now become close enough friends that we can call each other out when it's like,
Amen.
You're going down a wrong path here. But no, I think this is amazing. I love it. I think that something that we are lacking in universally, globally, is real talk, authenticity. You know what I mean? And so I think that because I think we all put on different masks depending on where we go, and like it's we've just learned, especially our generation.
Oh yeah,
we've learned how to fake it till we make it. We put on these facades.
Well, we were raised by parents who, there's no shade to my parents, but we were raised by parents where image was everything. I mean, my mom would still ask me, I don't think she's done it in the last 5 years, but up until now, if I walked out and she didn't like my outfit, she would ask me if that's what I was wearing.
You sure about that?
Right.
Have you looked in a full-length mirror?
Right. I'm like, what the? You're wearing like a fuzzy sweater with a Rudolph on it. Get out of here.
But now you've got a friend crew that will help you go, you need to go home and change.
That's very true, too. That is also very true. Yeah.
But I love anything centered on authenticity and bringing about a conversation that evokes vulnerability and realism, because I think that we lack that just in everyday life. We really do. And we get in our head and So
this really started, and then we'll jump to your fish bowls. So excited about them.
Me too.
This kind of really has evolved, as you know, because I've called it 1,000 things. I've thought of it different ways. But so professionally, I'm a recruiter. So I spend all day talking to people and getting their stories. And the narrative that people give is so lacking often. And I'm not saying that as a terrible thing against people. That's how we've been brought up to believe.
Sure.
These are the things that we should say. These are the things that we should think. These are the things that we should dream. And so then I just started thinking, like, even in my own recruiting process, like, how do I get people to be real? And so I've learned that if you just start asking sort of oddball questions, you get to the heart of a person.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is in the present moment without any, hey, here's what your topics are, which is where we're headed.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
No plan.
No plan.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay. So the topics for your fish bowls are being a small business owner, the Keep Going Project, and mental health. And we're going to address them all. So you tell me where you want to start.
Well, I guess let's start a little light, and let's start in the marketing business world, which I chose the path 27 years ago.
I was going to say 27 years ago. How did you latch on to that? What drew you to that?
Do I need to pick one?
Not yet. Go ahead and say that, but you will need to pick one. And if they have two, you're going to answer two.
Okay. So it's interesting. I was talking to some of the folks that helped put this together. It's been probably 15 to 20 years since I've been in this facility, which is one of Southeast Missouri's, leading radio conglomerates. And so I started my media career in radio, and back in the 90s. And then I know, which to us seems like
Yesterday.
just 10 years ago.
Yesterday. I
But
don't understand when they call the music the oldies. It's very confusing.
exactly. No, someone who needs to be put away just reminded me that that 1990 to today is the same as 1990 to 1950, and I'm like, go screw off.
You definitely did not say it that way, but yes.
Yeah, I am like, that is screw all the way off. But anyway, age is just a construct. So, but anyway, so I started
Until you're peeing your pants.
exactly, which I may or may not have done already today. So, what we're dealing with, so I always knew that I wanted to be a communicator, educator, whatever. I don't know. Like I went to college with not a whole lot of. I basically was pressured to go to college from family, and I knew, but I was never a great student. But I always knew that I don't know, somehow I wanted to make an impact to this next generation, some way, somehow, through my own jacked up adolescent years of just, having some troubles or whatever. I think that I gravitated to education. But while I was in high school, I started in radio. I've always had like an older voice, if you will. So even whenever I was 17, 18, like I could.
Sixth grade.
I could, rock radio, I just was able to, it's a beautiful day outside, blah, blah, blah. And I was able to communicate or present myself as being older, even when I was young. And then that led me to getting in the car business, which then I did TV commercials because of my experience in radio. And then I just immersed myself in the whole marketing world and actually read books and learned about
I didn't know
the trade.
that.
Yeah, so that was kind
You're
of
self-taught.
I'm pretty well self-taught, and I dropped out of college when I was a sophomore, and said the typical thing that a lot of people say is that I'm just going to take some time off and take a semester off or maybe a year off and just kind of check things out, and then ended up starting my company in '99.
Do you regret dropping out of college?
There's part of when I look, so I have 2 adult children, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and there was part of me that I think that through the years wish that I would have been able to, and there was a time that I thought, you know what, I'm going to take some online classes, even as I was developing somewhat of having some successes in business. I thought, maybe I'm just going to take a few night classes here and there and whatever, but it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I'm all about being a lifelong learner, but I think that everybody has their track. And for me, just college wasn't it.
Yeah.
But,
I actually have a friend who's going to marry this guy. He's very successful in the tech world. We all use this technology multiple times a day. And he didn't go to college. And he told me, he's like, I spent one day on the campus and I knew very quickly that it was not for me. I'm not saying college isn't for people, but I think when you're a creative, it's very hard to be in a box.
100%.
And no shade to the people that are in college and professors and whatnot, but sometimes it's a box.
Yeah, 100%. No, I think that if you look back at Albert Einstein, who invented our light bulb? Edison.
Yes,
Edison.
That's right. He has a whole museum in Florida.
Edison, even Walt Disney. There's lots of really great minds of our past that never completed school, or even on the contrary, were told, or maybe told their parents, look, your kid's slow, your kid's not school ready, but it was because they were daydreamers, they were visionaries.
Who's the speaker? I'm going to miss it, and I'm going to be sad about it. I'm going to have to somehow figure out how to come back in. He's an African-American gentleman. He's one of the very first, sort of motivational speakers. I cannot believe I can't think of his name. But his mom was literally told when he was in school that he was retarded. And that's the words they used then, and that's what he said.
Right.
And none of that was true. And he's gone on and changed countless lives. And
interesting.
I'll text it to you later.
Yes, please do.
And Kaylee and Tommy, I'll email it to you.
Because now I'm interested. But no, I mean, and a great example, and I think that this one story, and then we can move on to our roulette because I'm really excited about this. The thing that I think motivated everybody has their why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you get up every morning? Aside from the paycheck, aside from whatever. And, Michael Jordan, which as I was growing up, he was the GOAT of all basketball players. And but when he was a freshman in high school, everybody probably knows the story already, but he was cut from the basketball team.
Right.
And and he went home, locked himself in his room, didn't want to come out to eat, was depressed, was beating himself up and self-loathing and all the things, when rejection hurts no matter where you're at on the spectrum of success or whatever. But after the third day, and this isn't a religious thing, but it's funny how he says but he actually says it this way. After the third day of self-loathing and feeling sorry for myself, I said, nope, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. The coach that said you're not ready, you don't have what it takes, you're not prepared. And so he went and he busted his butt. He was the first to show up to practice. He was the last to leave. He hustled, and then ultimately, obviously, became arguably one of the best basketball players of all time and one of the greatest inspirational stories. I feel like every human being has that person or has that moment in time when they were rejected or turned down for a role or a relationship or something, or they felt like they were not good enough. And that defining moment, I think, helps to decide, am I going to be victorious on the other side of this, or am I going just to lament and live in bitterness and resentment over this for the rest of my life?
Stay stuck.
And that is, I think that's just such a major crux of where we're at today.
It is. We should have started with the Keep Going project.
Okay, well, just throw me one.
I think that you're exactly right. Like, that's the deal is anybody who's wildly successful, guess what else they are? Wildly a failure.
Yeah.
Every person who has created anything, anywhere, has failed multiple times before they got there.
100%.
Unless you only played the Powerball one time and you got the number then. I'm not even sure that's success, but it sure is fun, right? But I think that's the deal. Okay, so let me. I want to tell about the Keep Going project. So the Keep Going project is a mental health advocacy program, and it is something that you came to in your own life and wanted to share with others that you've been working on for a few years. And it is meant to help people do exactly kind of what we were just talking about, which is taking setbacks and turning them into resilience and strength and purpose and finding their way out of that, what can really feel like a deep hole for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Anything you would like to add about that?
I just, so the as you were saying that, Sandra, what I heard.
I just became Sandra. From my friend who knows me so well.
Well, I don't know why. I just felt like we should be more sophisticated, and now you're Sandra. But anyway, Sandra, what I have, the image that popped into my head, which I love, is the rubber band analogy, or a slingshot. Okay, so a slingshot is only powerful when you're pulling backwards, right? And I think that far too many of us, young, old, indifferent, put all the labels out there. I think this is a universal truth that can be taken from this, that when you have a setback, a broken marriage, a broken, you go bankrupt, you have a bad financial crisis, or your business goes down, or whatever, the dream you're chasing, continually you get doors slapped in your face. Whatever that rejection is, a lot of us sit in that and say, well, that's now who I am. I'm a failure. Instead of, like you just said, like failure. Some of the wealthiest, the most successful people say, fail often, fail forward, because that is when you can realize how resilience can really make you so much stronger and wiser, so that next thing is going to be the thing. And so anyway, so if you're in the crux or in the middle of being in that slingshot where you've just been told you suck, or you interpreted, you perceived it,
it feels like that
as your, it feels like that. you have an opportunity to use that leverage of being pushed backwards to actually be the catapult that pushes you beyond your dreams and I think that but being vulnerable enough to be able to speak that, especially as a man, like, we definitely have a stigma around us about being vulnerable, about admitting weaknesses, and about admitting our failures, because we've been taught, like, we got to be strong, we got to be powerful, we got to have our crap together,
face forward,
yeah,
no crying,
right. And so, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. I've almost had a cry moment earlier today, just because, like, stress and just like, how do I navigate? Even at 27 years, there's still crap. And see, I'm really struggling censoring myself not to just speak real, because I'm with you, my friend. But
some stuff, when it's related to business, I think some stuff is okay.
Yeah.
To keep that,
and we can bleep it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I picked up my first because
Okay.
we can
All right, let's go.
Because this could be a 2-hour
okay too.
podcast. All right, so my roulette was, what does someone in their hardest chapter need to hear?
This is part of the Keep Going project.
Yeah. What does someone in the hardest chapter of their life need to hear? I think, first of all, you are going to be okay. You are enough. I know that's cliche and it's taboo and whatever, and people say it all the time. But I love this question. It's a very thoughtful question, because I think that, so in my book and I talk about different seasons where because our negative self-talk, I'm talking to everybody else in the room like they're our audience.
They are.
But our negative self-talk really does dictate our future. It really does. I really believe that the words that come after I am are powerful and intentional. And so if they're negative, and if they're always beating yourself up, if they're always criticizing you and tearing yourself down, I am worthless, I'm a piece of fill in the blank, I am nothing, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a fraud. All of those things that I know everybody in this room and those listening, you're thinking of, what is that negative blank that you put after I am? When you start doing that on a regular basis, it really does. It starts to change your DNA. It obviously changes your outlook, your mindset, your attitude. When you're consumed with all the negative, there leaves no room for gratitude.
And so I 100% believe that. One of the things that I read the other day, and it's such a simple thing, is it is not possible to feel negative when you are practicing gratitude.
100%.
And I thought about that, and I was like, because I actively work at gratitude, and I think I do really pretty well at it at this stage of life. I've been doing it for a long time, and I really had to think about, like, when I am feeling down, it is because I have let everything in the gratitude field just walk away. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I come back to that, what was a setback is no longer a setback. Mm-hmm. It becomes the thing that I'm experiencing that's going to teach me something that I'm going to get to the next best version of myself.
Right.
And don't misunderstand, some of those things for people are horrifically hard.
Yeah.
But for me, the perspective of that has absolutely dug me out of some places. And honestly, a place that I really just went through, I thought, what is, like, I've been joking, the whole month of January has been like one giant bomb. Hence, I'm experiencing my first cold sore on my face today, or as my friend likes to say, you have the herpes. It looks terrible. It's huge. It's unbelievable. It's just a physical showing of, like, what's been happening with the stress in my life. And yet it's an after effect, because I had already moved out of that place of, like, there's a page that I'm turning that I think is pretty important. Yeah. Doing this is pretty important. Whatever Absolutely. Happens to this, I don't know, but doing this is important, and I know that.
Sure it is.
So you were talking about the words, and I was remembering, so I did a self-help seminar back in, like, the early 90s, I guess, mid-90s. That's probably when they were, like, really popular. I lived out in Utah. It's called PSI Seminars. And I did like their basic course, which is like 4 days. And then I signed up for like this 90-day course that was literally the cheapest thing in their book and was the most powerful thing that I could have ever done. It was like $300 for 90 days. I had a little group and you had a coach. But one of the first exercises that they did, they broke you out into your little groups, and each person had to take a turn and stand in the middle, and the group just started saying adjectives about the person.
Mm.
And you can't help but have a physical reaction when stuff is uncomfortable.
Sure.
And guess what that uncomfort usually indicates? That's the thing that you need to step into.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And so then it becomes a mantra, and you start, it's a whole thing. And I still remember mine. But I remember this one woman who became a really good friend. Somebody said intelligent, and she said she already knows she's intelligent. And then she said sexy. And I swear to you, my whole body recoiled. I was like, what the? There's some power in being the thing that makes you the most uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? I guess I just declared on whatever this is going to that I think I'm sexy. There's a song, I think, but we'll just go with that.
Sexy, and I know
that's it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that, Jason. Taking away with my big old herpes on my face.
That's right. Oh, no. It's great.
Anyway, but I do remember that. And you're talking about the words and the negative and, what do people that are in their hardest chapter need to hear? I think it's exactly that. It's not, there's nothing magic. It's, you can get, you're here. You are still surviving. Yeah. The page will turn.
And as long as you have breath in your lungs, you have the energy and the power to write that next chapter. And so no matter how ugly some of the chapters of our life look, there can always be that turn, that pivot. And I think that, not to get super deep, but because this is a passion of mine, like we, especially after COVID, suicide rates among every demographic have increased. And that's for a number of different reasons, but I think that it's, and I say that for your listeners that know somebody, or maybe they are that somebody, that when you think that, okay, I'm just finishing the worst chapter of my life, and you think this is it, this is the end chapter. It's not. As long as you have breath in your lungs, and you have just maybe even just one person around you that is loving you, that is cheerleading you on. And that's why it's so important that you build community. And that's why I'm thankful, like the community that we've built with our friends.
Absolutely.
I spent the majority of my adult years putting on the fake professional business face. Not that I don't want to, those of you that know me from a business scenario, I don't want you to think that I've been fake all these years. But I think that, positioning yourself as hey, good to see you,
well, like one dimension.
It's just one-dimensional. But yeah. I think that when you can transition and have these kinds of conversations that I believe that are transformative, that need to be happening at dinner tables at night, they need to be happening in school, in our school systems, to talk about how do we regulate our emotions? How do we feel like this is not finality, this is temporary, this is today. This, and recognizing, because I think that, the thing that burdens me so deeply, because I was one of those teenagers that thought that my life didn't matter and that I probably would be better off gone. That is truly is my true north when I think about, how I want to be remembered or my legacy. If I can help to encourage or to love on somebody or to show them that their book's not done. Their book's not done, no matter what chapter they, whatever. Again, you and I have had a very blessed life.
We have
great parents, great, yes, we've had our situationships that have not been great in life.
I refer to that as 2022. But go on.
But I think in general, like, and it's difficult and maybe pretentious of me or you to sit here and speak to a listener as if we know the pain that maybe they've been going through, or the hurt, the abuse, the whatever they've been going through that we cannot relate to. But I guess I just would implore that person, just to know that they have more to write.
Absolutely.
And they deserve that better ending. They deserve that beautiful ending. And I think that last thing that I'll say, and then we'll move on, and I apologize, because this is in my heart chakra. I am like loving this conversation. The thing that I think, because I'm nearing 50. And yes, you're older than me. You're wiser. You're more beautiful.
That's true.
You just
Sexy.
announced it.
Sexy.
You're sexier. So like you've got a lot going for you. But but for me, what I've realized in my mid to late 40s is that wisdom comes, because you remember us grandparents telling us, well, your wisdom comes with age, and wisdom comes with experience and going through whatever. And I agree with all that. It does. But I think what the epiphany that I think that I've been kind of living through in the last few years as I released the book and as I released some of these things is that we discount our worth all the time. And because I sat on this and I was terrified to let it go and to put it out there.
Well, you think, who am I? It's the imposter syndrome. It's all the stuff, but it's
right.
I mean.
And I never wanted to I guess imposter syndrome and my paranoia of people feeling like I'm a know-it-all or an arrogant whatever. And so I don't know.
I think that's what the point of something like this is. How many times do we just not take action instead of just putting it out there and moving on and failing forward? And we don't know who's going to hear this. I have listened to podcasts where I've heard stuff where I'm like, I connected with it immediately. Mm-hmm. Had it not been there, it shaped me in a way, right? Had I not had the gumption to go do the seminars, that totally put me on the path of where I'm at today. Yeah. I think about that often. And the family that sent me, they were one of the craziest families. I worked for them as a ski nanny out in Park City, Utah. Between the two, they had 7 marriages. They were all about the self-development. And they sent me to this thing, and it categorically changed my life. Mm. If I had been looking to them for perfection, I would not have taken that advice. Mm-hmm. But they were so authentic and so real. And by the way, had a life that I knew nothing about. They were wildly wealthy. They owned banks and like all this stuff. And it just, I think that's our mission. I think that's also why I'm doing this. Let's just put it out there. Maybe there's something that people will connect with in one of these podcasts, and it changes the way they think.
I love it. Can I ask you, can I interview you for a second?
Maybe. I did it. I have this set up for a reason.
No, I know. But I love your heart. And I think that, that's why I think we became very, very fast friends. And I see how you care for your aging parents. I see you go above and beyond for your girls who are now adults.
They are.
By all accounts.
Sad but true.
But what do you want to be remembered for? If you were to be able to write the first sentence of your obituary, as morbid as that is, but what you're so much more than a recruiter.
Yes. I would like the first line to be, she connected people to who they are.
That's good.
Simple. I live in a world, so, what's the saying about the richest place is the cemetery because so many dreams have died with people in the cemetery, right? What does the world look like if we just put a dent in that? How many things look different?
No doubt.
How many things, if people could come out of themselves and really put into the world what they wanted to put in, what does the world look like then? Mm-hmm. And I think that it looks very different. I'm very into this idea that we're all connected. I'm very into the idea that energy and matter is 99% of us, these machines, this is atoms, right? Or 97. I'm not a scientist, so sue me. But sure. It's 95 plus. We're all made up of the same things. Mm-hmm. This seems empty, but it is not empty. There are atoms and things right here in between us, which means you and I are touching right now. Mm-hmm. And if we could just grab hold of the idea that we are all one in some way, gosh, maybe we could stop being so mean to each other.
No doubt.
We could stop blowing up the world. We could stop
Eradicate the
fighting
division.
over the money. Like,
Yeah.
It floors me sometimes when I think about the headlines, and I'm like, Russia and Ukraine are still fighting. Let's be honest. One of those two countries could have blown each other off the map by this stage.
Mm-hmm.
This is just how the world functions. Let's go have a war right now.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Good question.
No, you're right. You're right. But
I just don't. That stuff blows my brain.
I asked that question, and I know we're starting to run a little bit low on time.
I know I actually do have to go to the Lutheran home.
I'm looking at spaces, or
no, I'd be going to a different place for that. No, to have a secret conversation with my mom away from my dad about taking the car and the keys. So that's
going to be tough.
Yeah,
because that's a dignity thing.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, I'm sure you're not looking forward to that.
I am not, but I am looking forward to the lightning round with you before we finish up.
Okay, well let's.
Okay, so lightning round. Don't think.
So
just answer.
Quick questions.
Yeah.
Or quick answers.
Okay, hold on. I got to put my cheaters on because I did not print these big enough.
Oh boy.
That's right. I am 56. You just wait. Okay, hold on. I didn't like that one.
Bingo.
Ooh, what's your go-to self-sabotage move?
Oh.
Don't think.
That's really good. I retreat. I hide. When things are not good or I'm mad at myself, I retreat from friends, from any place of solace.
Yeah, that's actually there's one
and
of
punish
these.
myself. Yeah.
What's the fastest way to ruin your mood? Ruin. I can't say it. I'm from Missouri.
Disrespect me.
What's the most toxic thought you still have? Say it.
That there's still a part of me that I don't like me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
What part of being a business owner feels like a scam? You can't say all of it.
It is not as it's certainly what feels like a scam.
Yeah. Like I have days. Okay, now I'm overthinking, overtalking. I have days in my career that I love that I'm like, today's the day that I'm going to be a Walmart greeter because that seems nice. They say hello to people.
That seems so nice. They have stickers.
And I'm like, what I'm doing is crazy.
Yeah.
So what part of your business feels like, this is crazy? Why am I still doing this?
It's the sleepless nights, the stress, the thing that me thinking about and obsessing over making sure that my people are taken care of, which I love that. I love that a part of, I mean, I love that I care because a lot of business owners don't. But it's 24/7, and so I just had the same conversation where I don't want to be a Walmart greeter, but I would love to like sling drinks in like Jamaica.
Right.
I would love to just be a bartender on a beach.
My
like
friends
the
and I
movie
joke
Cocktail.
about getting like a food truck and going to the beach a lot.
Okay.
So, hustle culture, helpful or toxic?
That's a really good question because that's really emerged. I mean. That is a double-edged sword. I think it can be very toxic because I think that when you're solely focused on building an empire or building something for you, and you neglect and you leave everybody else in the ruins, I think that is a lonely place to be. And so, whereas I respect initiative, drive, and a little bit of grit and hustle, I think that if that becomes your whole personality, I think you're losing on the other side.
I think that's influencer culture. I think a lot of influencers just get completely lost. Okay, last one. Asking for help or accepting it? Which one's harder?
My God, both. I can't decide. Like, I don't.
You're terrible at a lightning round.
No, but I really, that is hard to ask for help.
So, yeah, I that's a trauma response. I've been told by the TikTok that not being able to ask for help means you were brought up in a way that you just had to help yourself all the time. And so you were taught that that's bad. And I have probably only recently learned to ask help because of Bob and because he's made it very apparent to me that I can ask him for help. And I've tested him a few times. And I have noticed that when he offers help and I decline it, he accepts it, but I know he's not happy about it. And so I'm learning. But you're right. They're both hard for us.
What's your number one love language?
Touch. What's yours? If you don't say touch, I'll be shocked.
It's probably not my number one. I mean, it definitely is. It fights for number one, but I think number one is affirmations.
Oh.
And I think back to trauma response. I think that's because I'm an only child. Was raised. You are that. We didn't.
Did we not know
That's
that?
why
We
we're
knew
both
that.
so jacked up. Okay, now
Raised
it all
by
makes
wolves.
sense. All right, but no, my mom was an amazing single mother that raised me and worked multiple jobs just to make sure that and so I think, then I think I chased my dad's approval and validation so much because I wanted to look at me, I'm over here, and so I think I've carried that into adulthood, which somewhat in a I wish I didn't need that.
I understand that though, but I get it. It's a part of you, and you know what? I'm going to give you affirmation as we wrap up.
Well, and I will rub your shoulders afterwards as a physical touch sentiment.
This is the third podcast that they're going to be like, she needs help with her guests. There's something wrong. There's something wrong that's happening there. I love you. I love your heart. You have shown what struggle looks like, and in a very real way. And I think that matters a whole hell of a lot.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for being my guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
Fishbowl Roulette. Tell all your friends.
I absolutely will. No, I love this. And look, this could go on for hours. There's all these questions I still want to read, but
I know. Well, you know what?
That's
a lot of people have already
later.
asked to come back on. Yes, that sounds great. And also, this is the third podcast that's ended that way. So again, she's got a problem. Bam. All right. That's it, ladies
if I'm
and
ever
gentlemen.
invited back, I'm going to bring a bottle of wine.
Oh yeah, we're going to do Fishbowl Roulette after dark. We're working on it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.